Welcome to Relax and Chat. I'm your host, Rod Gilley. Our guest today is Susy Smith. She has a bachelor's degree in English, and she's a curriculum specialist for the Kansa tribe in Oklahoma. Susy's literary journey began with Asylum, a gripping novel that clinched the 2020 WriterCon contest in the novel category. She continues to engage audiences with Ascendant, the second installment in the Asylum series, further probing the intricacies of survival, freedom, and the dark side of human nature. So please join me in welcoming Susy Smith. Kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, Susy. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, that's nice. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I'm in Branson, Missouri at a writer's retreat, WriterCon writer's retreat. So I am sitting in my hotel room.
Oh,
doing this
that sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It is. You get to meet a lot of new, interesting writers, and get their perspective, their take on things. So it's really a nice retreat.
Oh, awesome. I haven't been able to travel a lot since I got involved in writing, but I hope to go to some of those because the conferences. Now, I don't know if I'll be on the show, but I'll definitely be in the audience for the book fest that's coming in October. That's a lot of fun. I saw the one in the spring as a guest, in the audience, and I freaking loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, that'll be new for me. So,
yeah, and that's online, so I can attend it.
Right.
So, for those in the audience who may not yet know very much about you, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Susy Smith. I live in Blackwell, Oklahoma. It's a small rural town in Oklahoma. And I have 4 grown children, believe it or not. And I live there now with my husband and 2 dogs. So, so I have more time to write and do the things that I want to do. So yeah, it's been an experience. Both raising kids and having an empty nest has both been experience.
Just about everyone I know, empty nest is weird at first, but they always come to love it.
I am slowly beginning to very much enjoy and covet my alone time, which I never had before.
Yeah.
So that's
especially being a writer. You need that time.
yes, you definitely do.
Well, I'll jump into a couple of quick questions. To begin with, I want you to know Asylum and Ascendant. I've already got both of those on my TBR. I can't wait to read them. Sounds so cool. But I've heard they're comparable to like the Hunger Games and Divergent. And just thought I would ask, what would you say your series has in common with those pretty popular shows?
Well, the United States has suffered a big crash, and so the world as you know it, my main character's name is Lacey, is completely different than what it was before. I mean, it's almost like overnight. You wake up one morning and things are completely different. I also think The Walking Dead is a good think comparison as far as the way their scenes are shot in the movie. Just think of highways being deserted and neighborhoods being deserted and nothing being open, and nothing available, like no grocery stores are open or things like that. So
Wow.
I mean, it's comparable to the Hunger Games and Divergent in that the political backdrop is messed up.
Kind of like real life, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of say that without saying that.
Yeah, I don't do politics, but I couldn't resist. Kind of like real life.
I know it. It.
Now, for the pleasure of the audience, I was able to snag a copy of your book trailer for
Oh, yes.
Asylum. So I'd like to play
Yes.
that for the audience now
Sure.
because I know they'll love it.
Okay. That'd be awesome.
Wow, that was really cool. I love that book trailer. It's freaking awesome. Now, I'm told that you're a curriculum specialist for the Kanza tribe. What is a curriculum specialist?
Well, that just means that I create the lessons and the curriculum that the teachers use to teach the Kanze language.
Oh,
So I sit down and create those lessons.
oh, neat. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's neat. It sounds kind of hard, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier for me to because I have a bachelor's in English, so
Oh,
I love language, and so it's easier for me to do things on paper and
uh-huh.
and write them out. And like if you ask me a word, more than likely I'll be able to tell you what it is. But as far as speaking the language and being fluent, it's a very gut. I do that because it's a very guttural language and it comes from the
Oh,
back of your. And so it's a little difficult for me. It's more difficult for me to speak than it is for me to actually
yeah.
understand on paper. And that might sound weird, but it makes sense.
Oh, that doesn't sound weird at all. I'm not sure how similar this is, but I majored in accounting because
Oh,
they said, if you're going to go to school, go after the dollars. And I was young and foolish enough to listen, and now with QuickBooks and other software,
yeah.
accounting's no big deal anymore. And
Well,
so I decided I wanted to be a writer, completely unprepared. So not so different than if I was trying to learn a new language and oh my, it would be so difficult.
yeah,
I
yeah.
barely know English.
Yeah.
Now, I live in Kentucky and
Mhm,
just sort of the northern tip of the Appalachian Mountains.
mhm.
And the Appalachian Mountains used to be home, or may still be home, to the Cherokee Indians.
Right.
And the Kanza tribe, did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that's a group of Indians like the Cherokees, right?
Well, we're more Plains Indians. I
Uh-huh.
know I know that all the Indians kind of ended up here um, because they were forced to
Yeah.
in Oklahoma. I say here. I'm from
Uh-huh.
Oklahoma, so here is always Oklahoma.
Oh, it's not where you
They,
are physically. It's
not
home.
physically, but I'm from. I mean, my head's still in Oklahoma. Uh,
Oh,
anyway, I know they were forced to Oklahoma, but the Contact tribe actually came down from Kansas,
uh-huh.
like the upper Kansas around Lawrence, or the Neosho River kind of runs through there, and so
Oh.
they had villages along there, and so they're more of a Plains Indian than a
Uh-huh.
Eastern type tribe. The
Oh.
language is Degi-Hasuan, and so it doesn't resemble the Cherokee language at all.
Oh.
Um, it's completely different. So I mean,
Uh-huh.
they probably had similar
Uh-huh.
things that they did, traditions and things like that. But as far as from where they were from, I think there's a difference.
Oh. Well, I think you take a fellow from Boston, and here I am in Kentucky. We both supposedly speak English. I promise it would be very different, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
And the reason I ask you about it, because I hope they were not part of the Trail of Tears, a heartbreaking part of our history. Uh, and I hope that they flourish in their home current day. Uh,
Well, they actually did have their own Trail of Tears, and I think that's probably more common with the tribes than you would think. The Cherokees just have the
wow.
most famous one, but
Oh,
yeah, we did have our own Trail of Tears when the government forced us from our home in Council Grove to Kay County, Oklahoma. I'm from North Central Oklahoma. Kay County is just right there on the Kansas, kind of on the Kansas border. So yeah, it took 17 days for them to walk. They made them walk, and it was in the winter.
wow.
And that they did suffer a lot of hardship from Kansas to Oklahoma. Their numbers actually were probably cut in about half.
Wow. Wow. Again, I don't do politics. I really don't. You can watch all the episodes of my show. I avoid politics.
Yeah.
But my grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee.
Oh wow.
And I will say, I'm going to let it slip in here. Is ironic the correct word that
Could be.
our proud and righteous nation is founded on brutal invasion?
Well, yeah, and
Man,
what they tried to well genocide. It
yeah,
was a that's what they I hate that word and I hate to use it, but
yeah,
the way they treated them, they wanted to assimilate them. They wanted to beat the savage out of them, and if
yeah, and they
they
don't realize they were the savage. You know, I mean,
yeah,
for the most part, until you try to harm their families and take their land, the Indians were peaceful, you
yes, they
know.
were. Just
Uh,
because they weren't exactly like you and didn't have that Christian upbringing or value or
yeah,
they had their own religion. We have our own religion. We do believe
mhm,
in a higher power and the Great Spirit and stuff like that.
mhm,
But they just because it wasn't in their language in their
yeah.
the way they
Mhm.
thought of it, they thought of them as savage.
I think it's
So
heartbreaking that a lot of what you just said is still true today. If you're different in any way, you know, and I say it way too often, but I still believe it's entirely true that the human race worldwide is still in its childhood. We're all about 5 years old. We bicker
that's
and fight over silly things and let the important things go by, or even worse, be cruel when we shouldn't be cruel.
yeah.
Just like stubborn, spoiled little kids. And I don't say that against Americans or French. I say that worldwide.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's true.
I find it interesting. I was a history minor. I minored in history, and one thing that kind of stuck out of my head was George Washington in our infancy, in our country's infancy. He said, "Stay out of foreign affairs. Just
Mhm.
stay out of them." And I mean, that's gotten us in trouble more times than I can count,
Yeah.
probably.
I don't have anything against the concept of America standing up for a weak, small country against a big bully.
Right.
I get upset in our past, particularly, and hopefully not in our future at all. I get really upset when America is the bully. We're not supposed to be the bully.
Right.
We're supposed to
Right.
be the salvation, the refuge. And
Right.
it's heartbreaking that sometimes we're not so daggone righteous as we think we are. And even
Yeah, I agree.
historically, that's been proven. You probably know that far better than I do. You know,
Mhm.
I don't claim to know anything. I'm just some guy in Kentucky, but but I do have strong feelings about treating human beings right. I
Right.
got these scars on my face when I was 3 months old. I always look different, and I know what it's like to be treated cruelly because you
Hmm.
look different. And again, as far as I know, and I'm certainly not a scholar, all the Indian tribes were peaceful, kind, welcoming to the pilgrims. I think the story is that they even taught them how to plant vegetables and do things. And
Yeah.
then the things they got was brutal and horrible, you know.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's a very bad stain on our history, you know. And so I want to move on and get back to your book.
Okay.
Actually, both of your books. I do
Okay.
want you to know I do reviews on Goodreads and Amazon, and
Oh,
I
good.
just happen to have my own YouTube channel where I review books on YouTube. So
Good.
I am excited to read your two books, and you can look for a couple of reviews to come because I'm
Oh, that's good.
pretty sure
Good.
I did read what do they call it, the blurb on Amazon.
Mhm. Yeah.
Enticing. Very, oh, yeah, I want to read them. So is the
Good.
third book in your mind? Do you think you
Yes.
go there? Really?
That's what I'm working on. That's why I'm at this retreat. It's in the works. I'm working on it, working some of the, well, I'm about maybe a third of the way through it so far. So I hope I'm done by this time next year. We'll be, maybe close to it being out, or maybe even, having it out. So,
Mm, I can't
so.
wait. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Because especially, believe it or not, I like the Asylum. I guess the beginning of it all when you were creating the world and the characters. Boy, you nailed it. It's really it really gets you right. I mean, right off the first sentence, I was like, "Oh yeah, I got to put this on my TBR," you know. and I'll be reading it. I'm going to jump it over quite a lot of books because
Oh,
I'm
thanks.
looking forward to read. I've got a crazy TBR. Ever since I
Oh,
got
I do
involved
too.
in all of this writing and stuff, I used to
Hmm.
have like two books I might read this year. And in just a few months of making some YouTube booktuber friends that are
Hmm.
very knowledgeable and read a whole lot, far, far advanced over me. But I listen to their reviews and, get all excited about a book. You won't believe it. I've got almost 80 books on my TBR.
Oh my goodness.
And I can't read that fast. I hold two jobs and a wife and a doggy, and I don't have time
Yeah.
to read 10, 12, 20 books a month. Do you like to read a lot? Do you have time to do that?
I read a lot. I go through spurts, but I have recently found that I like audiobooks, and I had kind of, you know, was resistant to the idea of listening because it isn't the same
Hmm.
as reading. I mean, it's a different, I feel like it's a different, you absorb things differently between hearing and actually reading something on paper.
Oh yeah,
But when I get in the car, I'll flip on a book, and
yeah.
boy, it's been really entertaining. So it does have its merits
Well, I
for
can tell
sure.
you, just some little feller in Kentucky. I don't have any affiliation with either person. But for an audiobook, I super duper recommend Michael C. Hall's reading of Pet Cemetery, the
Oh,
story by Stephen King. My wife
yeah.
and I listened to that, and we were completely engulfed in that story. Michael C. Hall did an amazing job, particularly
Cool.
with the character Judd. I love him. He's like my all-time favorite character, and he's not even the main character. But yeah, if you like audiobooks, I recommend that one because it was a blast. My wife and I can still quote half of the story, and it's
Oh
been
my goodness.
6 months since we listened to it, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I like to make time in the show for my guests to have a chance to speak directly to the audience. And you can share anything you like. You can share your social media, your website, maybe divulge the title of your third book. Yeah, I'm pushing my luck. But
Yeah.
you can really share anything you like. So I'm going to make an extreme effort to hush.
Okay.
It is hard.
I am. You can find me on my website. It's susysmith.com. It's SUSYSMITH.com. I spell it out because, my name is Susie, but
Mhm.
how, without knowing how it's spelled, you probably would end up somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, and I'm also on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. I spend a lot of my time there. I've tried TikTok. I do have TikTok.
Mhm.
I'm not real consistent at TikTok because I'm not a Gen Z. So I don't have that kind of energy and enthusiasm. I wish I did. I really do. And yeah, on my website you can find links to buy both of my books. Asylum is the first. It starts off with the big crash, and Lacey is my main character. Lacey and Jason, they go through, and that's their story. There's the start of their story. And in Ascendant, they find themselves on the run, trying to get away from that evil uncle. So it's a wild ride, and it gets kind of dark. But you can find descriptions on the back. The written descriptions do a whole lot better at describing them than I would fumble through trying to do.
I think you did just fine. And I'm a horror writer. I love dark stories, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I tend to go towards the dark side. I have no idea. I mean, I wish I could be that writer that sits down and has this, uplifting story that, but my brain is it just doesn't go there. I'm a realist. Real life doesn't work that way. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I can tell you I'm one of many that would rather have some kind of story that really grabs my attention. It can be fantasy, horror, thriller, but it's got to really get me. And it doesn't have to be real. I'm a fiction writer. It doesn't have to be real, but it's got to really get my attention.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, Harlequin romance and some contemporary works just don't get my attention at all.
Right. Yeah.
And so that your stories sound like, and I haven't read them yet, but by golly, I'm going to sound like you've got like a kind of a fast-paced plot and some action and some thrills, maybe a few surprises.
Yes, it has all that. I don't really I don't let up on the readers. Man, if I'm gonna write something, I'm gonna grab you by the wrist and yank you along with me. So.
Oh, sounds fantastic. Now, of course, I'm gonna put links in the description to both of your books and to your website, so that all the audience is going to really want to find out more about you and your books. You're very charming. You come across on the screen very, very well. You really do.
Thanks.
And I'm going to try to learn that. I like the way you did that. That was cool.
Oh my goodness.
I think it was very cool and charming, and shows that you're a person and not a machine. And with a debate going on with AI and writing, I'm glad you're not a machine,
Me too.
I got to say, AI has its place, but I'm firmly against AI writing our books for us. I want the heart and imagination of the author,
Yeah, I don't think that they can capture the human element like we can.
Yeah. And I watched all the Terminator movies.
Yeah.
And that may sound a little ridiculous, but you think about it. You're not quite as old as I am, but Captain James T. Kirk from Star Trek had a communicator that he flipped open. My first cell phone flipped open the same way.
Yeah.
So, the sci-fi of the past is the reality of the future.
Of the future, yeah.
So
I'm waiting for Marty's hoverboard. I really want one of those.
I would very likely just break my neck. I loved it when I saw it, and I was a good bit younger then. I might have tried it.
Yeah.
I was born in the last year of the baby boomers. Hoverboard? No. I don't think so.
I'd love to try one.
Would you really? Ooh, you're pretty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could very likely break my neck, but I would still try.
That's a funny thing. I'm kind of middle-sized, maybe a little on the big side. I'm 5'10", and I'm like 200 pounds. Now, at least on the video, you look like a little tiny thing. And here you are, so brave and daring. It's like, yeah, I'll jump on that hoverboard. I would not try it. So kudos to you for being very brave.
Oh yeah, my kids would be in the background laughing. just, I mean, falling on the ground, laughing at me probably. But yeah, I'd try it.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And you had the courage. Believe me, I know the work that goes into writing a novel and revising it, editing it, revising it, re-editing it. I know how much work goes into producing a good novel. And you've done it twice. And on top of that, you're a curriculum specialist for the Kanza tribe, which is so far over my head. You know, oh well, I feel a little bit like that little fish in Finding Nemo.
Oh,
But I'm not entirely without, but yeah, I am not knowledgeable in your expertise, that's for sure. But I got to tell you, oh boy, you're the most charming and friendly and wonderful person. I know the audience is going to eat up meeting you,
I
and
hope so.
they're going to I think, very eagerly look at your website. And oh, by the way, audience, the really cool book trailer that I showed you, that's actually on Susy's website. So if you want to see that again, pop over there and take a look, because it's a very, very cool website. So yeah, because I enjoyed that very much. It's a nice website. You did a good job with that.
Thanks.
Really did. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up and call it a show. But of course, when your next book is about ready to come out, if you like, you are certainly welcome to come back and we'll do this again and promote that book.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Because it's just been so much fun to meet you. It really has.
It's been fun to meet you.
All righty. Well, let's say goodbye to the audience.
See you later.
Yeah. Bye-bye, guys. Come back for the next show. Thank you very much. Don't forget to look in the description for links to both of her books, Asylum and Ascendant. There's also a link to her website. I think you'll find it very fascinating. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a wonderful day.